The peaceful facade General Thaxon's 6 eyes studied the holographic display with predatory satisfaction. The blue-green world of New Eden rotated slowly before him, its surface dotted with agricultural settlements and research facilities. Like all human colonies he had observed over the past solar cycle, it looked pathetically vulnerable. "Status report, Commander Vex," Thaxon rumbled, his chitinous armor clicking as he shifted in his command throne. "The humans have exactly 12 patrol vessels in the entire Meridian sector, General," Vex reported, his scaled fingers dancing over the tactical console. "Their largest vessel is barely the size of our supply ships. Intelligence confirms they possess no heavy weapons, no orbital defense platforms, and no military installations worthy of the name." Thaxon's mandibles clicked in amusement. The Kelvari Empire had been expanding across the galaxy for 3 centuries, conquering species after species through superior firepower and ruthless efficiency. Most civilizations either submitted immediately upon seeing their vast war fleets or fought briefly before inevitable surrender. The humans appeared to be the former type, which would make this conquest disappointingly easy. "What do their communications intercepts tell us about their nature?" Thaxon asked. Vex pulled up another display showing human broadcasts and data, transmissions. "They spend most of their time discussing art, music, philosophy, and something they call sustainable farming practices. Their news networks focus on scientific discoveries and cultural exchanges with other species. Military affairs receive minimal attention." "Pathetic," Thaxon growled. "A species that prioritizes agriculture over warfare deserves to be conquered. What about their response to our presence?" "They have sent diplomatic messages requesting peaceful dialogue. Several human representatives have asked to meet with you personally to discuss mutually beneficial arrangements. They seem genuinely confused about why we are here." Thaxon's laughter was like grinding stone. The humans were even weaker than initial reports suggested. Most species at least attempted to posture or threaten when faced with Kelvari might. But these creatures were so naive they still believed everything could be resolved through talking. The bridge doors hissed open, and High Regent Valdris entered. The supreme leader of the Kelvari Empire was ancient by their standards, his exoskeleton bearing the scars of a dozen campaigns. Despite his age, his presence commanded absolute respect. "Report on the human assessment," Valdris ordered without preamble. "Complete, High Regent," Thaxon replied, rising from his throne. "The humans control 17 agricultural worlds and 6 research stations in the Meridian sector. Total population approximately 47 million. Their military consists of lightly armed patrol craft, suitable only for protecting shipping lanes from pirates." Valdris examined the tactical displays with professional interest. "Defenses? Minimal to non-existent. They rely entirely on the Galactic Peace Accords for protection. Their settlements are completely open, with no fortifications, no shield generators, and no weapon emplacements. Resources? Substantial. The worlds they occupy contain rare earth elements, quantum crystals, and agricultural products that feed half the outer rim colonies. Under proper Kelvari management, these worlds could increase their output by 300%. Valdris nodded approvingly. "Resistance potential?" Thaxon's mandibles clicked dismissively. "0, High Regent. Our xenopsychology experts have analyzed human culture extensively. They are a young species that achieved spaceflight only 3 centuries ago. They have never fought a major interstellar war. Their historical conflicts were small, localized affairs on their homeworld that ended centuries ago. They talk constantly about peace, cooperation, and what they call the fundamental dignity of all sentient life," Vex added. "Their educational systems emphasize creative thinking, scientific research, and diplomatic problem-solving. Military training is limited to a small professional class that has never seen real combat." Valdris studied footage of human settlements. The images showed sprawling farms, art galleries, universities, and recreational facilities. Children played in parks, while adults tended gardens or worked in laboratories. It was a picture of almost insulting tranquility. "They are soft," Valdris concluded. "Begin standard conquest protocol. The Kelvary fleet moved into position around New Eden with practiced efficiency. 57 warships took strategic positions around the planet while smaller vessels surrounded the orbital research stations. The sight of so much military power should have sent the humans into panic, but their response remained frustratingly peaceful. Incoming transmission from the planetary surface, Vex reported. Put it through, Thaxon ordered. The holographic display showed a middle-aged human woman with graying hair and kind eyes. She wore simple civilian clothing and sat behind a desk decorated with flowering plants. "Greetings," the woman said in accented galactic standard. "I am Governor Sarah Mitchell of New Eden Colony. We welcome you to our system and hope we can establish friendly relations between our peoples." Thaxon leaned forward menacingly. "I am General Thaxon of the Kelvary Empire. You will surrender your world immediately and prepare for occupation. Resistance will be met with destruction." Governor Mitchell's expression remained calm and patient. "I understand there may be some misunderstanding. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting to discuss whatever concerns you may have. We believe all conflicts can be resolved through dialogue and mutual respect." "There is no misunderstanding," Thaxon snarled. "You have 24 standard hours to surrender unconditionally. Fail to comply, and we will begin destroying your settlements." Transmission ended, but not before Thaxon saw something that puzzled him. Governor Mitchell had smiled. Not the nervous, fearful expression he expected from someone facing conquest, but a genuine, almost pitying smile. "Sir," Vex interrupted his thoughts, "we are receiving similar responses from all 17 human colonies. They are requesting diplomatic meetings and expressing confusion about our intentions. No military mobilization detected anywhere in their territory." "Excellent," Thaxon replied, though the governor's strange smile continued to bother him. "They are exactly as weak as predicted." 24 hours passed without human surrender. True to his word, Thaxon ordered the destruction of 3 agricultural settlements on New Eden. The Kelvary bombardment was precise and devastating. Within minutes, 3 farming communities that had existed for decades were reduced to smoking ruins. The human response was immediate, but not what Thaxon expected. Instead of panic or desperate surrender offers, the humans began evacuating their remaining settlements with remarkable efficiency. More disturbing, they did so while broadcasting messages on all frequencies. "This is Governor Mitchell of New Eden," came the transmission. "The Kelvary Empire has chosen to attack civilian targets despite our attempts at peaceful resolution. We deeply regret this turn of events. All human civilians are advised to seek immediate shelter while we implement emergency protocols." Emergency protocols? Vex questioned. "Intelligence shows no evidence of any military emergency plans in human databases." Thaxon was about to respond when his communications officer suddenly went rigid with alarm. "General, we are receiving priority transmissions from Kelvary High Command. Multiple human colonies across the galaxy are going silent simultaneously." "Explain," Thaxon demanded. "Not destroyed, sir. Silent. Their communication arrays are active, but they are no longer responding to any transmissions. It started approximately 1 hour after our attack on New Eden." A chill ran down Thaxon's exoskeleton. Coordinated silence across multiple star systems suggested organization and planning that contradicted everything they knew about human military capabilities. "Perhaps they are simply afraid," Valdris suggested, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. More disturbing reports began flooding in. Human merchant vessels throughout Kelvary space had simultaneously changed course and were heading toward the galactic rim. Human diplomats at various alien courts had abruptly terminated all negotiations and departed without explanation. Human research stations in neutral space had begun broadcasting coded messages that Kelvary linguists could not decipher. "Sir," the communications officer reported with growing unease, "we have lost contact with the Kelvary patrol fleet in the Altair system. They were monitoring human activity there." "Lost contact how?" Thaxon demanded. "Unknown, sir. They simply stopped responding to all communications 18 minutes ago." Thaxon stared at the tactical display showing New Eden. The human settlements continued their evacuation with mechanical precision, but something about Their movements now seemed different. What he had initially interpreted as panicked flight now looked more like a carefully orchestrated military withdrawal. "General," Vex said quietly, "our long-range sensors are detecting unusual energy signatures from the outer planets of this system. The readings are intermittent and unclear, but they suggest massive industrial activity." Industrial activity? Our intelligence indicated those planets were uninhabited. According to human records, they are uninhabited, sir. Thaxon felt the first stirring of genuine concern. Everything about this conquest was proceeding according to plan, yet something felt fundamentally wrong. The humans were behaving exactly as predicted, but their responses seemed too coordinated, too prepared. "Intensify scanning of all planets in this system," he ordered. "I want to know what is happening on those outer worlds." As if summoned by his words, the tactical display suddenly lit up with new contacts. Ships were emerging from the asteroid belt, dozens of them, moving with purpose toward the inner system. But these were not the small patrol craft in Kelvari intelligence files. These vessels were large, sleek, and completely unknown. "Where did those ships come from?" Thaxon roared. "Unknown, sir," Vex replied, his voice tight with fear. "They were not there an hour ago. Our sensors show no indication of how they arrived." The mysterious ships maintained a steady approach vector toward New Eden, making no hostile moves but clearly not attempting to hide their presence. As they drew closer, more details became visible. Their hulls were dark and angular, designed for stealth and speed. Their energy signatures indicated advanced technology that exceeded current Kelvari capabilities. "Incoming transmission from the lead vessel," the communications officer reported. "Put it through," Thaxon ordered, though his voice lacked its earlier confidence. The holographic display showed a human man in military uniform. Unlike Governor Mitchell's civilian clothes, this man wore the crisp dress uniform of a professional soldier. His face was stern, his eyes hard with purpose. "I am Admiral Marcus Kane of the Terran Defense Initiative," the man said without preamble. "You have attacked human civilians and destroyed peaceful settlements. This aggression will not be tolerated." Thaxon found his voice. "The Terran Defense Initiative does not exist in any of our intelligence files." Admiral Kane's smile was cold as deep space. "That was rather the point, General Thaxon. We have been waiting for someone like you for a very long time." When diplomacy dies, Admiral Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the TDI dreadnought Retribution, watching the Kelvari fleet scramble to respond to his sudden appearance. After 30 years of careful preparation, the moment of truth had finally arrived. "Sir," reported Commander Zara Chen from her position at the intelligence console, "all deep cover assets are reporting successful activation. The Kelvari have no idea what they've walked into." Kane nodded grimly. The Terran Defense Initiative had been humanity's greatest secret for 3 decades. While human colonies appeared focused on peaceful pursuits, they had actually been building the most sophisticated military network the galaxy had ever seen. "Communications, open a channel to all human colonies in this sector," Kane ordered. "Channel open, Admiral. This is Kane to all TDI assets. Operation Sleeping Giant is now active. Begin Phase 2 immediately." Across the Meridian sector, seemingly innocent human settlements began revealing their true nature. Agricultural processing plants opened hidden doors to reveal weapon manufacturing facilities. Research stations powered up military-grade sensor arrays and communication networks. Underground complexes that had been invisible to alien surveillance rose from beneath farms and cities. On New Eden, Governor Sarah Mitchell shed her civilian facade as she entered the colony's actual command center, buried half a kilometer beneath what the Kelvari had assumed was a simple administrative building. "Status report," Mitchell requested as she took her position at the strategic command console. "All civilians successfully evacuated to hardened shelters," reported Colonel James Torres, the colony's military commander. "Defense grid is online and ready. Our prisoner extraction teams are in position." Mitchell nodded. The evacuation had not been a panicked flight, but a carefully rehearsed military maneuver designed to protect non-combatants while revealing the true defensive capabilities that had been hidden for decades. A Aboard the Kelvari flagship, General Thaxon watched in growing horror as his easy conquest transformed into a nightmare. The human ships approaching his position were not just numerous but technologically superior to anything in Kelvari intelligence files. "Sir," Vex reported with barely controlled panic. "Long-range sensors show additional human fleets emerging throughout Kelvari space. We count at least 300 vessels of unknown design converging on our positions." 300? Thaxon's voice cracked. "That's impossible. Human total military strength was assessed at fewer than 50 ships." High Regent Valdris pushed forward to examine the tactical displays. "Our intelligence was wrong. Catastrophically." "Wrong?" Admiral Kane's voice filled the Kelvari bridge again. "General Thaxon, you seem surprised. Did you really believe a species could spread across 17 star systems with only a handful of patrol boats for protection?" "What do you want?" Thaxon demanded, though his earlier arrogance had evaporated. "I want you to understand something that your intelligence analysts missed," Kane replied coldly. "Humans choose peace not because we cannot fight, but because we are very, very good at war. We have spent the last 30 years hoping we would never need to prove this point." On the planet Kepler 442b, Dr. Elena Vasquez received the activation signal she had been waiting for her entire career. Officially, she was a xenobotanist studying alien plant life for peaceful agricultural applications. In reality, she was a TDI intelligence operative who had spent 5 years documenting Kelvari military capabilities. The research station where she worked housed 17 scientists, all of whom had similar dual identities. When the activation order came through, their response was immediate and coordinated. "Initiate Protocol 7, Dr. Vasquez announced to her colleagues. Within minutes, the station's laboratories had been converted into a military command center equipped with advanced communication arrays and tactical computers. "This is Station Kepler 442 to TDI Command," Vasquez transmitted. "We have complete intelligence packages on Kelvari fleet compositions, tactical doctrines, and technological weaknesses. Transmitting now." Similar scenes played out across human space as decades of patient intelligence gathering suddenly became available to human military commanders. Every human researcher and diplomat who had worked alongside alien civilizations had actually been gathering strategic information for this moment. Commander Chen smiled as the intelligence reports flooded in. "Admiral, we now have detailed tactical analysis of every ship in the Kelvari fleet. Our prisoners on their vessels are ready to begin internal operations on your command." Kane turned to his tactical officer. "Status of our response fleets?" "Battle. Group Alpha is engaging Kelvari forces in the Vega system. Battle Group Beta has surrounded their main supply depot at Rigel. Battle Group Gamma is moving to intercept their reinforcements from the home systems. All groups report ready for synchronized assault." The scope of human military preparation was beyond anything the Kelvari had imagined. Not only had humanity built a massive fleet in secret, but they had positioned forces throughout Kelvari space years in advance. What appeared to be a spontaneous response was actually the execution of detailed battle plans that had been refined over decades. Aboard the Kelvari vessel Dominator, captured human civilians received their activation codes through hidden communication implants. Dr. Sarah Kim, who had been taken prisoner during the initial attack on New Eden, revealed her true identity as a TDI Special Operations Officer. "Time to go home," she whispered to the other prisoners as she activated a small device concealed in what appeared to be a medical scanner. The device emitted an electromagnetic pulse, specifically calibrated to disrupt Kelvari nervous systems. The alien guards collapsed instantly, their exoskeletons providing no protection against the targeted frequency. "Secure the bridge," Dr. Kim ordered as her fellow prisoners revealed their military training. "Intelligence wants this ship intact for analysis." Similar uprisings occurred simultaneously across the Kelvari fleet as human civilians revealed themselves to be highly trained Special Forces operatives. The aliens had unknowingly invited enemy agents aboard their most sensitive military vessels. "General, Thaxon watched his fleet being systematically destroyed from within and without. Ships that should have been under his command were suddenly broadcasting human identification codes. Vessels that had been fully operational minutes earlier were now reporting complete system failures. How is this possible? He demanded of his intelligence officers. Our screening procedures should have identified any military personnel among the prisoners. Sir, one terrified analyst replied, these humans show no signs of military enhancement or training in any scans we can perform. Either they are naturally capable of this level of coordination, or their technology is far more advanced than we believed possible. The truth was both simpler and more terrifying. Humanity had recognized early in their spacefaring history that they were not the strongest or most advanced species in the galaxy. Instead of trying to match their potential enemies in raw power, they had focused on deception, intelligence, and strategic planning. Every human who left Earth underwent basic military training disguised as emergency preparedness education. Every human colony included hidden military installations disguised as civilian infrastructure. Every human ship carried concealed weapons disguised as scientific equipment. Most importantly, every human who interacted with alien species was trained to gather intelligence while maintaining their cover as peaceful civilians. The galaxy had unknowingly welcomed thousands of human agents into their most sensitive facilities over the course of 3 decades. High Regent Valdris finally understood the magnitude of his species' error. We have not encountered a peaceful civilization that we can easily conquer. We have walked into a carefully prepared trap set by a military power that exceeds our own capabilities. Admiral Kane's final transmission came as human ships took positions throughout the Kelvari fleet formation. High Regent Valdris, you now have a choice. You can surrender immediately and withdraw from all human space, or you can face the full military might of the Terran Defense Initiative. Your threats mean nothing, Valdris replied desperately. The Kelvari Empire controls hundreds of worlds. You cannot match our numbers. Kane's smile was visible even through the holographic transmission. High Regent, you still don't understand. We have been preparing for this war for 30 years. Every human colony you thought was defenseless has been a military base in disguise. Every human trader who visited your space has been mapping your defenses. Every human diplomat who negotiated treaties has been learning your weaknesses. If summoned by his words, reports began flooding Kelvari command channels. Human fleets were emerging from deep space throughout their territory. Kelvari bases that had been secure for centuries were under simultaneous attack by forces that seemed to know every detail of their defenses. The agricultural world of Harvest Moon revealed massive orbital weapons platforms that had been disguised as farming satellites. The peaceful research station at Proxima Centauri powered up a sensor array capable of tracking ships across multiple star systems. The human trade hub at Wolf 359 deployed a fleet of heavy cruisers that had been hidden in what appeared to be civilian shipping containers. The humans have turned their entire civilization into a military deception, Valdris realized with growing horror. Everything we observed, every conclusion we drew, all of it was carefully crafted to hide their true capabilities. Commander Chen provided the final piece of the puzzle as she addressed the defeated Kelvari leadership. You made one critical error in your assessment of humanity. You assumed that because we chose peace, we were incapable of war. You forgot that the most dangerous opponents are those who understand the cost of conflict and prepare accordingly. The Kelvari Empire's conquest of human space had lasted exactly 18 hours. What they had expected to be their easiest victory had become their most devastating defeat, not through superior firepower, but through superior planning, patience, and strategic thinking. As Admiral Kane accepted the Kelvari surrender, he transmitted one final message to the galaxy. Let this serve as a reminder to any species considering aggression against humanity. We offered you peace because we prefer it to the alternative. But we prepared for war because we are very, very good at it. The galaxy would remember the day humanity revealed that their greatest strength was not their technology or their numbers, but their ability to turn apparent weakness into overwhelming strategic advantage. The Kelvari had learned too late that sometimes the most peaceful civilizations are the ones you should fear the most.